Universe? Okay. I want to watch videos. Where do I go? What the fuck? And I've never been on this website before, by the way. Uh... Wait, where do I... We... Where do I go on this website for videos? Is there like a video button? There's not. Do I just click to watch live, I guess? Watch live, the most censored news broadcast in the world.
Total craziness in the modern world, you know, and
I have no idea what's going on here. Anyone
that's trying to sell you this is also interested in selling you something that just doesn't exist. This is a sales pitch for the wrong game plan, ladies and gentlemen. Our speech is fundamental to who we are. And the idea of offending people with words, you remember when we were little kids, maybe they don't even say this anymore. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words would never hurt me. Get real, folks. I mean, are we that much of a weak, wimp society? I don't think so. I know that. Anyone who believes that we should lay down and just take it,
no, he's
and
talking
shut
about,
up and
he's talking about
behave.
Free speech.
No, that is not who we are. Be polite, be respectful.
Oh yeah, Redmond Berry, I covered that.
Behave in the sense of conforming. I'd say do the opposite. Be a respectful nonconformist. And you know, when I drop kids off at school, I say, hey, you're going to the propaganda palace today. Make sure you ask respectful questions when you don't believe what you're being told. Because even children know in their heart when the message isn't ringing true. And they need to have confidence in that voice and not start shutting it down at 7 and 8 and 9. Because here's what
he does not say that to his kids. True.
Then it shuts down permanently. Let me say that again. If you quit listening to what some call the little voice in the head, you know, your consciousness, maybe God talking
this is why you need,
if you quit
let's
listening,
say, for the sake of the argument, that you need a bigger
brain.
brain.
The voice isn't there anymore.
This is why I take Brain Force Plus
like
every day when I go to bed.
In a crowded room. Don't do that.
It's better than making my life, my wife mad.
Don't do that. Stay firm on your truth. If you're going to shake it, change it, whether it's something I say or any of us say, check it out.
Can I not?
Don't change your trajectory on your path through.
Guys. If your kids don't actually need to learn anything, why the fuck are you sending them to school? If all they have to do is listen to their internal moral compass, and that will somehow teach them all the secrets of the universe, why are you sending them to school? What the fuck are you doing? This is absolute insanity right here. Just ask questions and learn shit. God damn.
Like, because I say something unless you can confirm it's true. That's it. 2 witnesses, don't make the change. Confirm it's true. Find the evidence. Now, that's what I want to get to. Because in the context of delivering free speech, you got to dig out information, and that's getting harder and harder. And I know guys I talk to all the time, because the cartoonish nature of the mainstream keeps getting more and more ridiculous. On the last time I could fly on an international flight, I went to the back, you know, to use the bathroom because I still fly economy. And when I was walking back, I see all these screens up, you know, and people watching their TV. And, you know, most of them are watching cartoons, for God's sake, adults. This is the programming we're dumping in.
That's right. Whoever heard of an educational cartoon?
Which means it's bad news and good news. Here's the good news. Most people are watching cartoons. That makes
most people learned how
a lot more effective than
how
what
Congress
we do,
works from cartoons.
Because you're paying attention. You're getting information. Dig it out. Confirm it also, no matter who's delivering it. Confirm it, even if it's a trusted source. Because if it's about your life, take control of your life and quit getting pushed around by anybody. Because this is the problem with the globalists. They think they just keep pushing and pushing
Wait,
and
what
just
did that Star
nudging
Wars?
and
What did
nudging.
that man
And we just keep
reacting to Star Wars have anything
falling
to do
into
with
this
anything?
tighter and tighter bubble until they just squeeze a living soul out of us. And that's the objective, and we can't let it happen.
It's
And let me
not.
talk.
By the way,
Shift
guys,
gears
it's not
a bit.
globalists.
I want to get into something that got
It's
mentioned
not
again, the Chinese.
globalists. It's
You know,
capitalism.
Chinese have a
Capitalism
problem now in
incentivizes
China. It's called
globalized behavior
Chinese ISIS. Right? They got an Islamic
without the need of a
State
like
rising
cabal
in
of
China.
like
Now,
evil
the first time I
conspirators.
heard about this was in a lecture at the Alaska Pacific University here in Alaska, obviously in Anchorage.
Wait,
And it was, I think it was
but
Methodist
did
then,
you ask
Methodist University.
questions?
But
Did you
anyway,
follow
it
your
was a
heart?
speaker. He'd been a priest, a Catholic priest in China and Russia, in the areas where the Russian republics, the southern republics, button up against China, that all of them ending in Stan, you know, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, etc. Well, all these places, when they moved away and Russia let them go, right? Why did they do that? Why did they do that? Because
USSR
they
was
were
breaking
the
up.
biggest growing population. This is what this Catholic priest was lecturing about in I think it was 78 or 79 when I caught that lecture. So this is a long time ago again. And I was in my early 20s listening to this lecture. And what he said was the biggest threat to China and Russia was Islam, because they weren't adhering to the Chinese rule of one kid. And in Russia, they were the biggest growing population there. And they were outnumbering in Russia.
True, he does need
or
a glowing
former
girl
USSR,
dick. I agree.
the white Europeans. And Russians care about this, okay? They're where we were in the 1950s in terms of how they view other cultures. And I'm not judging them. I'm just saying I've been there. I've seen that. I understand a little bit about Russian culture, just a little bit. And I will not judge another culture because I'm not in it and I can't make those judgments.
I feel like you're making the judgments,
that's for people within a culture to make. That's why we have sovereign nations. That's why we have structures that we have, because that's reality that we all know on the ground when we travel around the world. But also, having said that, the soul of man, no matter where you go, it's all in there. It's all in there. And it's about waking everyone up, and everyone is doing their part. And there are people waking up in China and Russia and everywhere. And there have been. And I think some of the greatest things may come out of these places that had experienced in our lifetime some of the greatest repressions. You know, what Russia came out of.
He's just
they're still evolving into a more mature democracy, and they got a ways to go. China, they got a revolution yet to have, you know, and hopefully they do someday. The kind of revolution that liberates individual souls and to outside of a collective squishy ant farm. Because that's what is. Now, the Chinese have been cracking down on Islamic people.
This is true.
You know, this is wrong.
True.
The way they've done this. They've herded them all into camps for re-education to get them to renounce their beliefs and religion. Now, whether you and I believe it or not, what I do believe in,
I have no idea.
I believe in religious freedom, one of the foundations of this nation, that people should be free to worship if they wish. Whether you're Jewish or Islam or Christian or Muslim or Hindu, I don't care.
I don't care, but also I think America should be a Christian
rounding
nation.
People up and putting them in camps because of what they believe. And this is speech at the fundamental core. And where are the voices of the liberal left in this country? As millions have been herded into camps. And we're just worried about how much business we can do.
Wait, why are they
This is Nick Beggar.
Why are they
You're in
playing the
Infowars
Man with
over
No
there.
Name music? What the fuck? Also, yes, the people on the
Cognitive
American
dissonance
left.
is a major issue amongst the left. It can be very stressful.
The people on the American left say that it's bad to put people into concentration camps. Yes, people. Guys, I might be wrong about this, but I think lefties have been talking about how we shouldn't put people in concentration camps for a while now. I think that that is generally the position of both liberals and leftists who are left of liberal in this country. Yeah, I think generally people are against concentration camps, both in the United States when it comes to immigrants, and also in China when it comes to their concentration camps. Fuck. This like weird equivalence that a lot of conservatives draw is it's super bizarre to me. Or like not equivalence, like distinction.
Baby's alive, selling that body part. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we want to eat babies. I have them on video.
I love Sadie, so f you.
I kill my kids.
Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man.
We came, we saw, he died.
She sleeps in the same room with that creepy weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly.
What?
Imagine how
Fine
bad
looking
she
lady.
smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur.
There's a guy on the radio who apparently Trump's on his show frequently. He said, me and Hillary are demons. Said we smell like sulfur. Ain't that something?
I have never seen or smelled any woman like that, ever.
People are telling me she smells.
Who could not notice someone who smelled that bad?
In a room, vampire pot, dead goblins hobbling round from afterwards. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap. We don't even notice and it's self rising up against us.
This is like insane.
People of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good.
Racist
Oh,
as
they're so
hell.
sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning, and they had the police chief on making excuses from that town in Minnesota. And they had the Fox News host, this is the Fair and Balance channel, going, Donald Trump really stepped in it this time.
This is like some real fascist racist stuff. Like, guys, I live in Minneapolis. The Somali community is fantastic here. I like them a lot. They make really good food, too.
New World Order. It's Alex
Oh yeah,
Jones.
super anti-Semitic. Earth Rising, the revolution, a revolution
The
towards
Alex
1,000
Jones
lives,
Show.
1,000
Because there
years
is a-
of peace. Guys, you know who promised 1,000 years of peace? It was Hitler. Hitler did. These people are like actual crazy people.
In Russia, kind of what's happening there in the rise of Islam in terms of China right now, they got a problem. Russia,
Who
by the
is this
changes in their
guy?
boundaries and how they broke up, they don't have the same issues. They've kept the bulk of the wealth of the nation, if you
Even
will.
the Nazis
of,
didn't make movies
the
with
old
this much
Soviet republics,
racist argumentation. True.
in Russia, and also,
Also-
the republics that were
Also, the Nazis were very concerned with aesthetics and looking like they were competent. So much so, and so effective was their propaganda that, like, to this day, people are like, well, you can't be a fascist unless you're competent, you're, like, walking in unison and, like, goose-stepping and shit. But, like, that's not true. You can be an incompetent fascist, and the last several years have been a pretty good indicator of that.
as that last hour, talking about when they got into just that little bit about the weapons and the sonic weapons and the microwave weapons. It made me think about China generally and how they look at things.
What is
Actually,
this?
won Congress. Won the
Wait, do
seats.
they just have like a bunch of like shows that are live all the time? How do they have this many crazy people?
At the top of the ticket with Trump, and that to show this Trump power, just let the Democrats have Georgia. This is a huge mistake. This is literally cutting off your nose, your ears, and your eyebrows and your eyelids to spite your face. No matter how we feel about these rhinos, from like McConnell to Mitt Romney, we have to push on Georgia.
Alex Jones
and
was
at
a
least keep the
world-class
Senate.
bodybuilder.
Otherwise,
Not
they pack
anymore.
the Supreme Court. They make Puerto Rico and DC states. Then they can do whatever they want. They'll have the Senate. They'll have the House of Representatives. They'll have the Supreme Court packed with 5 new AOCs or Chuck Schumers.
Oh yeah.
And it's game over. So I think that it's important to keep going on Georgia, but a really big message that I think that we should all be.
One of my questions is what does he mean when they say keep going on Georgia? Georgia already did a recount, Buster. What do you want them to do more in Georgia? What can they do more in Georgia? Also, yeah, AOC is not equivalent to Chuck Schumer. These people are delusional. Chuck Schumer is not an ally of the left. Chuck Schumer is like one of the main impediments we have to getting socialist policies passed in the United States.
He did not become the lottery winner. You are still the winner. He is a thief. The Democrats, and Joe Biden and the Democrats are thieves at best. So what I'm promoting.
What are they?
Actually,
wait, what are they at worst?
I have one of these. I have Infowars and.
At best, they are guilty of committing the largest election crime in U.S. history. What are they at worst? Where do you go from there?
The yellow doesn't work well on the green screen, but I have my yard sign out front that used to say Trump, Pence. I covered the Pence, and now it says in like white tape, won. Trump won. Trump won
so
is
sad.
a true message. A
These
thief
people
does
are
not become
so
a winner
delusional.
when he picks your pocket, or mugs you on the street. It's not his money. He's a thief. So we've got to stick with Trump won. And whether or not, Donald Trump gets a second term or Biden is somehow, shoehorned in, we've got to stick with our belief and our statement that we are the winners and they're the thieves.
Right.
If that's the way that it turns out.
Right, because all they have is just their assertion. They just continually assert that they won, and that doesn't make the truth, right? You're just asserting a lie over and over again, hoping that you fool enough people into believing it.
I mean,
but you
maybe.
really bring up so many good points. Packing of the Supreme Court,
who is
making
this
Puerto Rico a
baby
state. Of course,
man?
we have them calling for prosecution against Trump supporters. The lockdown and the Great Reset will completely destroy small businesses and hand over the economy en masse to the giant globalist corporations. And then, of course,
His daughter out
immigration,
of
that they're
this
just going to
place.
open the
Oh,
doors
no.
and flood America with anybody and everybody who can scramble across the border. Do the Republicans not understand the existential threat that we're under? Like, are they just not taking this seriously enough? Do they think they can weather the storm? Like, what's going on these rhino Republican heads where they're sitting there with a gun leveled, at their face, being held by the Democrats, and they're going, well, let's just give them a chance here. I mean, what's going on with the Republicans, in your opinion?
Well, the Jim Jordans and the Matt Gaetzes are few and far between. Most of these guys are they're fair weather Republicans. There'll be a rhino depending on the issue and depending on the political climate.
Hi, J-Mac.
I'm glad Mitch McConnell is great at doing Supreme Court judges and so forth, but he's completely lame on the bigger issues. And it is true. Most of the Republicans a significant,
How's the stream
half
tonight?
of the Republicans,
It's good
they do
tonight.
not understand, even if they understand that it's an existential threat. All right, let's say that they do understand
Kindermann.
that
True.
if Biden wins and we lose Georgia, look, if they can fraud their way into the White House,
honestly, I
you don't
wish
think they can
I
fraud
wish
their way into 2
the
Senate
left
seats?
was as cool
I mean,
as the conservatives
if we can't hold the
constantly make us
line on
out to be.
fraudulent mail-in ballots, in a presidential election, then what makes us?
Ooh, Dylan Burns' panel got turned into a shit show? What happened? Tell us more. Tell us more about this shit show on Dylan Burns' show. Dylan Burns, follower of my channel. Thank you, Dylan Burns.
Just a printed,
Yes, we are gospel
for the 2
fumes over
senators,
here.
the Warlock and the other one, Asnoff.
Oh, is somebody being like
For
rude?
the Biden ones that they
That's
brought
weird
in
for
at
him
4
to do.
o'clock in the morning in Michigan and Wisconsin, they were printed. They weren't even folded. They'd never been in an envelope.
Right.
They weren't filled in with a pen. The circle was a printed circle. If we let that stand, do you really think we're going to somehow turn the tide and have a victory in Georgia? If we can't hold the line with Trump and this fraud, this fraudulent
Wait,
election,
Aftershark, what
then I
happens?
think it's a given that we're going to lose the Senate seats. And that means they pack the Supreme Court.
Wait, who all
after
was
they
on
get,
it?
Then they'll get D.C. and
Tell me more. I
Puerto
need to know
Rico as
more,
states.
guys.
It's game over. I'm
over here watching InfoWars. This is the bottom of the barrel. Anything you're telling me about this Dylan Burns panel is infinitely more interesting to me than whatever this React Andy over here is saying. He's been talking for like a long time. I don't think he's actually said anything. Surfs, Melanie, Redneck, CTV, some others. Oh, I was talking with CTV the other day. He made a comment about like strap-ons to me, and I still don't get it. But I like the Surfs. I've talked with Redneck. I got Redneck to agree with me on a lot of socialist issues. I think with him, it's mostly how you present things. I think Dylan just got angry because people kept talking over each other, but also things were getting heated over racial and trans issues. He was banned. Wait, who is banned? Strap-on comment? I am still mulling over the strap-on comment. It's like it was a weird thing to say. Oh, CTV? I mean, I'm not surprised. Not surprised. It was a weird drop-in for sure, yeah. Well, I was talking to him the other day, and I think I made him mad by saying that socialism was more freedom than capitalism. I think I made him real mad with that one, and he came onto my channel the other day to make a comment about, I guess strap-ons mean no parts, but also I'm not sure why he said it or what he meant by it. So I just keep thinking about it and laughing. CTV used a transphobic username for the panel this time. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Honestly, like, transphobes? I don't get transphobes, right? Like, the optics of attacking trans people is just so bad. Like, you just look like a bigot for, like, no reason. And, like, guys, here's the thing. Most trans people, we're used to being called that. So if we're on a platform and someone shows up with a transphobic username, like, big whoop. What the fuck do I care? You guys are dicks. Like, we know you're conservative. You guys don't think that trans people deserve rights anyway. We already know this. So just like, be able to articulate your position. Like, this petty bullshit is just really, like, I don't know. It's like below recognition for me, you know? I'd get mad, well, not mad, but my head would melt a little by such a comment about socialism and freedom. But I don't get transphobes either, but having been called a transphobe for disagreeing with a trans person, it's also confusing what a transphobe is. I mean, that's fair. Like, I think there's a difference between, like, I think discussing trans issues is different than fundamentally disagreeing with like the right for trans people to exist, you know? Like when like again, trans women are women, trans men are men, non-binary people are rad. These are things that we should all just be able to agree on, and then anything after that I think is open for discussion, you know? Like if we can't agree on those first three things, then like, yeah, I mean maybe you might be a bit transphobic, you know? But like, you can also change. You can change for the better. I've seen very, very few people express an opinion that outright says or implies that trans people ought not to exist. Maybe I have a limited view. Yeah, I mean, generally there are a lot of people who think that trans people should not exist. There are a lot of people that think that the world would be better off without trans people, so like we should be exterminated. There are people out there who are like, trans people should be you know, it's ridiculous for trans people to exist because it's like saying, you know, you want to be, you identify as an attack helicopter, you know, like, yeah, I mean, like this is generally the position a lot of people take, you know? Well, yeah, Serious Twitch, that doesn't surprise me because like A, CTV doesn't strike me as a particularly imaginative person, and B, they only have the one joke when it comes to trans people, which is unfortunate because trans people are inherently very funny. We like there's a lot you can make jokes about when it comes to trans people. Our experiences are objectively hilarious.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
You haven't met a trans person you haven't liked yet? Well, that's good. And like, I think that if you agree that like trans people, like trans women are women and trans men are men and they're just not the same as cis women or cis men, then I think that like, yeah, I mean, we're on good footing here. It makes it seem they don't have real concerns about policies. Yeah, true. True. Whoa. Now I'm showing good faith. Let's not go too far. Seems weird you'd care so much about trans people to make a username based around denying them. Yeah, I mean, that's really the thing.
1,000%.
Wait, is this just the same show? Also, I guess this is Owen Schroyer? And
you know, this, considering that all of these Congress critters went to college allegedly somewhere, you know,
I can't, guys, I can't listen to this guy anymore. I don't give a shit. I don't know who he is. We're gonna go click on this thing. No, please. Please, I don't want to watch this anymore. I want to watch the Alex Jones show. Oh gosh, I take it back. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that either. Who's this guy? Okay, Brain Force.
And they're betting that we, the American people, will sit here and take it.
I love how conservatives on like the far right just very subtly with their phrasing, just very was that the Canadian professor? No, I think he's Alaskan. But also I like how these people constantly phrase things and in ways that could be found sexual. Was that Jordan Peterson? No. He's like the less interesting and articulate Jordan Peterson.
And so far, they've been right.
It's not a good-looking beard.
But the momentum is growing in our favor. But now it's just a race.
He has a good lower beard. His upper beard, though, absolute shit. Look at that. Thin, scraggly, weak mustache. It's a bad beard. Bottom beard, decent, good. Upper beard, weak.
through time.
On the page above? This guy? Weak beard.
Who can get
I'm
to
not
the
gonna go
point
back.
of no
Only
return
forward on this
first?
channel.
Will it be them, the world government, enslavement, tyrannical forces, or will it be us, we the people, for human freedom and liberty worldwide? Let's go back out to the phone lines. Jesse in Arizona. Jesse, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Please.
Hi, Owen. I liked what you were saying earlier about Obama seeming pretty smug and you not liking that. And I've agreed this whole
It wasn't
hoax
Jordan
most of the way
Peterson.
through.
It was a different professor
The
in
Obama,
Alaska who's
Colbert,
also crazy.
whoever it is, Gates and his wife, they seem awfully confident. And we got to keep our eyes on the ball. I hear we got to fight. We got to stay in the fight. The fight's been won for 2,000 years.
You're not a
We got to
dum-dum.
keep our eyes on the way, the truth, and the life that is Jesus Christ. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to be judged by God alone. And it doesn't matter whether we're bullhorning and we've got 12 years of food buried and guns up the wazoo, or whether we're Bill Gates. It's by faith alone and not of works. And I think people are missing that in this, because in order for biblical prophecy to be fulfilled, America must fall. The one world government system, whether it's, Biden gets in and it's a shoo-in, or whether Trump, has his master plan for a few years, or whatever it is, or maybe Trump's unintentionally a sophisticated, controlled opposition program. No matter what, it comes down to Jesus Christ at the end of the day, or at the end of our lives. And it's not by anything we do or don't do. It's by faith alone, purely. And I don't hear that mentioned enough. I'm not putting finger on anybody particular just in the world, because I think this is the message.
Yeah, why isn't my news network talking about how we're not properly fulfilling biblical prophecy? I know there's nothing wrong with you being religious. I think there is something wrong if you are actively seeking to bring about the prophecy that brings about the end of the world. I think that that's kind of like something an insane person would do. Like, I don't think that's a sane position to have. So that's generally, I guess, my thoughts on this. And also, like, it's weird to have a call into a political show where they're like, yeah, people aren't in general focusing on Christian faith enough, because you're supposed to be a news show that's impartial and like reporting on the facts. Even the InfoWars has that veneer. Let's see. Jones thinks he's Patton. Tanky or Fash. Now, he's a fascist. Is Alex Jones like that Young Turks guy being subsidized by some rich donor? Or does Alex Jones actually generate real revenue? Alex Jones actually does generate real revenue from his supplement sales. And I also I don't think the Young Turks guy has a rich backer. I think that they did some sort of like controlled buy-in so that there is like some sort of corporate buyout of like part of the Young Turks company, but that makes sense because it's the largest online news network. But otherwise it's funded mostly by donors. Wait, is Alex Jones funded by Viktor Orban? I'm on board with mass human extinction. Okay, left side Phil. Okay. Still want my Soros bucks. I do too. I do too. Steve Kornacki does not analyze the Bible, though. Come on, Steve!
You have a bunch of people. The movement continues to grow, and then ultimately tomorrow it's going to be the big one, and they're getting the big guy over the fence there. Not an easy task. But they got him on over the barrier there. So it looks like they've began to move on to the actual Capitol grounds where they weren't allowed before.
Guys, these are Proud Boys. The Proud Boys are here. The white nationalist militia. Awesome. This is going to be great, I guess.
And so I think Alex is probably about to get on a bullhorn there and make a statement. Guys, can I get that feedback up?
Stones, where Ted Turner put up those stones in 1980, 30 years ago, saying that they were going to shut off the U.S. economy and the world economy and kill 80% of the world population. Not going to happen. And now, the head of the Davos Group, the head of the UN, the British Prime Minister, the Canadian Prime Minister, the German Chancellor, including...
For the record, everything he's saying is absolute bullshit. There is no one world government that's trying to do anything. The United States. The UN. Guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but the IMF and the UN operate to benefit the United States. I don't know if you guys know this. They're not against us by any means. There are ways by which the United States leverages soft power to engage in neo-colonialism, okay? Or, sorry, neo-imperialism. There we go. Yeah, the World Trade Organization as well, yeah.
People out there should be a couple 100,000 people out there, folks. You understand?
This is not a couple 100,000 people. What?
They literally faked a worldwide pandemic to launch a great reset. Now, look, everybody understands how corrupt things have become. The financial market.
Okay, guys. So, again, Alex Jones, pure conspiracy theory bullshit. They don't think that the COVID-19 virus is real. They don't think it's real. They don't think it's a problem. They don't think 250,000 people have died in the United States. So, just so you know where they're at.
The Great Reset is arresting the criminals.
Whoa. The UN... Okay. J-Mac, the UN bureaucracy is not anti-American at all. Like, who's worse in a tank, Alex Jones or Mike Dukakis? Probably Dukakis. Is Jones part of some wider LARP? I don't think so. I think Alex Jones is like a true crazy person, you know? They have million John Cena. Oh, they have... Okay, I gotcha. Who's John Cena? Yeah. But no, yeah, like the UN is not anti-American. The UN was literally founded by America post World War II and has been deliberately set up to give America the ability to lead the world in like democratic efforts / diplomatic efforts. So it's literally a way by which we can leverage our power across the globe. Could have fooled with the variety and volume of anti-US measures that get pushed through the various commissions and other bodies. Well, they aren't anti-US measures. It's just stuff like, hey, we've agreed to abide by international law and bring war criminals before international tribunals. And the United States goes, well, no, we're not going to do that. And the UN goes, cool, that's fine. That's literally the extent of anti-Americanness. That, like, the UN has no power over the United States. Like, this is silly. Like, pretending the UN doesn't play an important role in how the United States leverages power around the world is kind of silly. Because, again, anything the UN passes isn't binding on the United States, and the United States can do the inverse. We can cast binding resolutions on other people. It's like a magic spell we can use.
The globalists think you're lazy, but by taking a little bit of action, you can override them, have the app, and then tell others about it so they can get the app.
Damn, guys, you can overcome a globalist conspiracy by downloading this app that they have allowed onto the app market for some reason. But none of this is reasoning that the UN bureaucracy is not anti-American. Well, again, it's irrelevant if the UN bureaucracy is anti-American because the United States holds a controlling position in the UN. So, again, it's irrelevant. Yeah, the US is on every UN panel. Yeah. We get to control international policy through the UN. Yeah, it's not anti-American. Kind of like how the IMF is not anti-American. Like the IMF is how we like get like third world countries and control their economic development.
All right.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
Well, JMac, the reason I brought up the IMF is because that was part of their pitch, was that the IMF was part of a grand globalist conspiracy. So that's why I brought up the IMF, because they're the ones equivocating these organizations.
At every state capital every Saturday until Trump is reelected is the plan from now. I'll be out in Austin, Texas tomorrow at noon. Going back to the phone lines now, Sam in Indiana. Sam, you're on the Alex Jones Show. Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for all your good work that you and Alex do. And the supplements you guys have are unbelievable. I use them for all the bodybuilding. It's unbelievable. My point quickly is, I heard you guys discuss the trucker strike, and I think that has a lot of merit. Also, something else that we could do is, the idea is called the Great Set Aside. And there's probably 80 to 100 million people out there that we know for sure to support President Trump. And the way you can get back without having any violence or anything like that is the ability to set all your tax money aside. You still file the forms. You still stay in compliance with the forms. But what you do as patriots, you have 1776, and you set the money aside, and you defund the federal government. You keep the money locally, and that's how you fight back. Nonviolence, and that combined with the trucker strike is a way to send the message to the globalists that, number one, you've weaponized our IRS, you weaponized our Justice Department, you weaponized our CIA.
Guys, if 100 million people set aside their money, the government would literally just send troops in. You guys realize that, right? Like, we've literally bombed coal miners, guys. Like, yeah, well, yeah, the U.S. troops are just gonna come in and be like, "Hey, where's your money? We need it. You owe us money, bitch."
You weaponize our FBI. You've taken away our ability to have a fair, transparent election. So now what we do is we simply turn the money off and we defund the federal government and set the money aside until we see structural changes and we can believe in what we're funding. That simple. And
I agree.
With the trucker strike.
I agree with that notion. The problem is we can't even get people to take off a mask, Sam. So you think they're going to be able to pull off something like that? I just don't see it being possible. They won't even take off the mask. But the trucker strike, I was told, I think it was like November 29th was the original date
also,
I saw.
Sam,
I don't know if anything's been cemented there, but
it will probably be illegal
the truckers
for me to
are
advocate
plan on shutting down
law
D.C.
breaking on this
if they don't
program.
announce Trump the winner soon.
I appreciate everything you do, but now is the time that we have to fight. And if we could get some of the big media, the right-wing media, to band together, and if we all banded together, we could turn the system off and take control of it and defund it.
I do agree. It's always kind of been a problem. It's like herding cats, but maybe we're on the way. Todd in California. Todd in California, and you're on the Alex Jones Show. Go ahead.
Awesome, Owen. Really great to be able to talk to you, man. Love listening to you on the show, and I really enjoy all the products that you guys have. I take a couple of myself.
Wait, why are they all
really
talking about how great their products are?
I just wanted to say, I really think that, for one, I think that Trump might be hiding, hopefully, because he's thinking about enacting the Insurrection Act. And, you know, everything they do over there seems to get out to the wrong people within the Democratic Party. So, I mean, before we know about it, they're going to know about it, and they're going to be plotting. And if he's really thinking about doing that, they could be thinking about trying to kill him, especially with everything else that's been going on.
Yeah, there's no doubt there's some strategic move here by President Trump to stay in the shadows and pretty much be the non...
Why would they kill Donald Trump? Joe Biden already won the election.
Words in the beginning, the calm before the storm. And I truly believe that he is...
And he also said, hey, you may not be seeing me for a while.
That's exactly right. That sounds strategic as hell. It really does. The main reason I was also calling is because the media and Facebook and all these other companies, they keep on trying to say that there's a president-elect when Congress issued a letter officially stating on November 13th that there is no president-elect. Congress did. And I think
it's fake news. It's fake everything. They fake everything, man. You know that, Todd. They fake Russian collusion, fake hate crimes, fake pandemics, fake elections now. All they know is the fake.
We need to go on with the
it's just a massive conspiracy where everything's fake. That makes sense.
Maybe Trump should think about investing in InfoWars because they're thinking about purchasing a news show. Well, you know what? It's time to invest in InfoWars. You guys are hard-hitting. You get the message out. You inspire other podcasts.
Yeah, I think the way the White House looks at InfoWars is we're just like the wild dog. We're just off the chain, off the leash, and they just let this dog hunt.
I mean, you guys are insane.
It's time to show them what a real alpha male looks like with one of our most powerful products ever made.
Look at it. It makes your tits huge. Alpha Power. It makes your tits huge. The pills are big because it makes your tits huge. Only for alpha women, not for alpha men. This is a big tit pill. Look at how big it is. It'll make your butt big. Make your tits big. This is big tit pills. Big tit pills. Full hormone replacement therapy. It increases your energy, boosts sports performance, encourages hormonal balance, aka gives you big tit pills. Look at, I used to be really buff, and now I'm a hot girl. Alpha Power. Go from alpha to alpha. All right, I've had enough InfoWars. I've so much info in my brain now, going to war against itself. I'm gonna get this for Christmas. Oh wait, is this more Alex Jones?
Patriots continue to gather in Atlanta, Georgia, ahead of the massive Stop the Steal rally that is coming tomorrow, noon at the state capitol in Atlanta, Georgia. This will be happening nationwide at every state capitol tomorrow at noon.
Giant
I will be
milky
at the
breasts
state capitol here
on
in
your
Austin,
body,
Texas
body,
tomorrow
body.
at noon. I hope
Pizza
you
Captain,
can
thank you
join
very
me
much
then.
for hitting that follow button.
Let me just go back out to the phone lines here, because if I start getting into this news and start covering it, folks, I mean, you know,
I'm gonna lose it.
I just don't want to talk like that. Okay, we all know what's going on. All right, we all know that.
We all know that we're living in some sort of
gut
Truman
instinct.
Show-like reality.
We all know how to scratch that itch, but it's just not really graceful or becoming here on air. So let me go back to the phone lines and go to Emmerich in FEMA Region 2. Emmerich, you're on the Alex Jones Show.
Is he
go
just
ahead.
gonna get like a giant boner?
Hi, first I'd like to plug the X2. Great product. Great product. I find it very powerful, but I
They
did it
must
with
tell
a,
every single person who calls
5-day
in that
cleanse,
you have to talk about one of
and
our
it was
products.
very, very powerful under that. It was a 5-day.
Are they paid
5-day
actors?
fasting cleanse,
I'm not sure that they're
and it
paid.
gave me energy.
Hunter
great
Biden
product.
what?
You know what? I think I'm going to hit the X2 right now, actually. Thank you for reminding me.
I wanted to talk about was, you know, hopefully we're going to win this, but, you know, we need contingent plans. So we need to call on patriots, especially from blue states, to move to the swing states. And if that doesn't work, at the end, we're going to have to make a coalition of red states that is going to have to separate.
I mean,
and just let the blue states collapse on their own.
Polsky, basically what you're watching here is both like weird advertainment, like this is half like info, like a what's it called? Like an infomercial. It's half infomercial and then half I guess fascist propaganda that's encouraging people to engage in terrorism / push their fellow countrymen to secede from the United States, essentially. This is weird shit. I like how the dude's like takes the supplement. I mean, no, we need to watch this. We need to learn how to laugh and shame people like this. Oh, absolutely.
Why should we all suffer? But we've already passed. See, that's the problem. We've already passed the opportunity for all of these things to actually work. It's globalism. It's liberty or death at this point. There's no all these other plans. It's the final level, liberty or death. Do we have elections? Do we have a country? Do we have freedoms? I mean, that's everything. We can try to plan out all these other intricate plans and stuff. It's too late, Emmerich. I'm sorry to say. It's just, I'd love to give them New York, California. Let them communist those states into the ground so we can show how dumb it is. So we can show how destructive it is. It won't matter. Globalism squashes all of it. It's not even about communism. It's about globalism. It's about the world, one world government.
It's very difficult. I mean, I'm in FEMA Region 2 myself. When you live here, you're bound to know liberal people, and they won't even listen. It's you can't. They say, oh, fake news, and it's
they
hard
won't even
to get
listen
through
to
them.
my
I
super
try,
reasonable
but-
idea of seceding from the United States.
It really is.
And it's just brainwashing is really what it is.
I appreciate the time. It's great talking to you.
Thank you for the call,
Yeah,
Emmerich.
they still
Let's
still
go.
believe in the Hobbit homes that they're going to be rounded up into by Obama.
Hey, what's up, Owen? What's going on, man?
Just,
hey, I just wanted to talk real quick about my used-to-be great state of New Hampshire and our cuck of a governor who just put a statewide mask mandate after, a while of not up to this whole time. We thought he was a great patriot. We thought better of him. And he just came out with a mask mandate.
New Hampshire, well-known red state.
A mask that doesn't even do anything, but spread disease,
it
actually.
says on the boxes it doesn't do anything.
It's a joke,
it's so ridiculous that people are this dumbed down. It's
We
sad,
now
you
have
know?
a new emote,
But,
everybody. We
real
have
quick,
Peppo
I just wanted
hands.
to say, we're out here doing these every Saturday at the Capitol, Concord. And on the 28th of November, we will be out there doing a anti-mask rally, and we're going to be pushing to the governor's mansion. So everyone in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, surrounding states, come join us out there, please. And
We're going to have a lot of French kissing, kissing men, kissing women, much like our bisexual president, Donald
People are
Trump.
going to wear the mask. They're going to take these inoculations.
No one's
Yep.
going to be
Bottom line.
wearing masks.
And,
We're going to go be playing
I'm not for
console
it.
hockey out
And
there.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay?
people call in. There's
Bring
all
your
kinds
brother,
of great
bring your
ideas. Maybe
sister.
they'll work to save the
We're gonna
republic.
be-
Maybe
we're
they
gonna be
won't.
kissing
You really
everyone.
think you can
Free
organize
for all.
100 million, 200, 300 million Americans to stop paying taxes or do one thing or the other, but you can't even get a city to take off a mask?
Don't threaten me with a
You
good
got to be
time.
realistic here. Brian, thank you so much for the call.
Go join all
Axel
6
in
of these
Texas.
folks. Exactly.
Axel, you're on the Alex Jones Show. Go ahead.
Hey there, Owen.
Yeah,
Been a big fan
by
since
the way,
Engaged
these people
Lib-
will smack talk Black Lives Matter, which is, by the way, the single largest sustained protest in American history, while they struggle to get like 100,000 people to show up. We're talking about a sustained protest of tens of millions of people.
grown quite a bit since then. So
Yeah, they banned me
enjoyed
everywhere
seeing
now,
that.
so that's an honor.
Yeah, well, that's funny because that's really what I want to talk about in a different way. I'm a lawyer up in Dallas, and what I wanted to say is that we're watching an immense growth of cancel culture. Okay, we're at a moment right now where President Trump, about a month ago, had some real hard-hitting, really powerful lawyers on his team, and what we've seen in the last couple of weeks is that a lot of them have withdrawn.
Who are
Okay?
those lawyers?
And well, some of the lawyers I know. One
Don't
was
ask
Porter Wright, they're a big
questions.
firm,
You know
that's
better
a
than to ask
nationally
these people
respected
follow-up
firm.
questions.
They ended up withdrawing.
He doesn't
They got
know.
Too much flack within the firm, is my understanding.
So basically, Trump tries to get legal teams, and then Democrats flood their phone calls with threatening messages.
You got it. And, look, to understand where they're coming from, I mean, a lot of these folks at these bigger firms, I mean,
Are you an
lawyers-
attorney, Axel?
I am.
Okay.
I am. And what I want to say is, look, I've seen how these firms work, and I mean, a lot of them are real great people, but they have a very powerful left-leaning worldview. I mean, it's just, if you look at the demographics of lawyers, that's where they're at. Well, if we have cancel culture that's getting so extreme that not even the president of the United States can pick his own lawyer, I mean, we got problems. And so what I wanted to say was, I think it's up to everyday people to make your voice heard. You can't just hide in the shadows with your opinions. on your worldview. I mean, you got to put your mouth where your heart is. You got to put your butt in seats where your heart is, and you got to put your money where your heart is. Because if you don't do that, a lot of these establishment folks just are going to think that doing some of these things that should be pretty middle of the road, unobjectionable, they're going to start thinking that these things are some wild right-wing deal. Well, I'm sorry, but representing the President of the United States should not be some wild right-wing thing that should get, you cancel cultured out. I mean,
yeah, and you shouldn't have to deal with a liberal mafia of terrorists
the
coming
liberal
after
mafia
you
is
anytime
coming
you want to
for
make
you
a move
guys.
just because they don't like you or they don't
I'm a
like the person
socialist.
you're
Are they coming
representing.
for me too?
It's a cult. The Democrats and liberals have turned into a cult. Again, it's the biggest hate group and the biggest terror group in the United States. Axel, thank you so much for that call. Real quick before we go to break, let's pop in 60 seconds. Alex Jones bullhorning in Atlanta.
Bill Gates! These billionaire scumbags think they can enslave us, but they can't because we've only begun to wake up and we've only begun to fight.
Repeal the Insurrection Act! Get off the sidelines, Kim!
Governor Kemp announced the special session. President Trump got you elected. He stood with you. Stand with the people, Kemp. Be a hero and not a traitor. USA! 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 USA!
So it appears Alex is currently leading a march from the state capitol building in Atlanta, perhaps to the governor's mansion. We'll continue to monitor that and give you updates and take your calls when we come back.
Hey, everybody.
Big tech is in league with the globalists and the Chi-Coms and is attempting an information coup against America.
These people are wild. Absolutely wild.